We begin this hour with breaking news about massive layoffs at Air Canada. The company has released a statement announcing it is cutting at least half of its workforce. Susanna De Silva is following the story. Susanna, what are you hearing?
Yeah, it is a staggering number that is coming from Air Canada right now. I'll read you a little bit of a statement that we've received that's gone out to employees. In it, they say because of what the reductions, they've obviously had to do, airlines across the world, they've reduced their flights by 95%, and they say they have therefore taken the extremely difficult decision today to significantly downsize our operation to align with forecasts, which regrettably means reducing our workforce by 50 to 60%. We are doing this in order to conserve cash, right-size our business for the level of traffic we anticipate in the mid to longer term, and to position ourselves to rebuild once business returns. Now, another memo that's been sent to employees goes on to say that they are still suffering large losses, $22 million a day, $600 million a month. Despite some new business on the horizon, they expect to be flying, even though as people maybe begin moving in that direction, only about 25% of what they were flying before, and put a time frame on it. Perhaps that could last for 3 years. So because of that, they feel they need to reduce their workforce like this. Now, a bulletin that the Canadian Press obtained that has gone out to the union says that they may be asking their workers to slash their schedules, go on leave for up to 2 years, or resign with travel privileges. That's what they may be looking to ask some of their employees to do as they try to reduce their workforce by that significant number. Now, we know Air Canada back a few weeks ago did rehire 16,500 employees, including 68 flight attendants, under the federal wage subsidy, but that's only set to go on until the beginning of June. And we understand that the company has said that they already lost $1 billion this quarter. They've continued to contribute to pensions of employees, so they still continue to have massive costs, despite the fact they are not earning money, as people simply are not flying. And so again, as they anticipate some level of increase, perhaps some restrictions reduced, some people beginning to fly again, they do not anticipate the airline industry to see anything similar to what it saw before the pandemic struck, and that they are now anticipating there are going to have to be massive layoffs within the airline to cope with it. Carol?
All right, Susanna, thank you so much. For more on this, I'm joined now by Carl Moore. Carl is an industry analyst for the airlines and an associate professor at McGill University. We reached him in Montreal. Carl, first of all, what do you make of this announcement?
Carol, not a surprise, because their revenues are down 95%. The number of people flying is down in a way we've never seen before in aviation history. So it's incredibly difficult times, and they simply don't need all the people that are there when you're at that low a level of number of flights.
Yeah, how many people are we talking about here now?
Well, they were 37, 38,000 at the height. When you're running at 95%, running at 5%, 95% fewer flights, you really only need at most a few thousand people to keep it going. So I think in some ways they've tried to be generous to their people. And what we see, Carol, is that it's going to take probably a couple of years, is what the IATA, the International Airline Transport Association, and Caitlin Revenesco, the CEO, have said. And we hear this from airlines around the world. It's going to take a couple of years till people are comfortable to fly on crowded planes, and they're going to be able to spend the money, because we're going into a recession, which means that vacation travel's down, business travel's down, international travelers, vacationers are down coming to our beautiful country. It's going to be a tough time, I think, for 2 or 3 years, is what the experts are telling us, and what Air Canada is telling us as well.
Yeah, the first thing I noted that they said, the reason they were doing this, and it looks like they're, as of May the 4th, Air Canada eliminated 90% of its flights and furloughed 20,000 employees. But the first thing they want to do is conserve the cash right now, and it's for that rebuilding process. But how do you rebuild after something like this?
Well, what's going to be is, when they get permission from the government to have more flights, to have international flights from foreign governments. It's also when Canadians psychologically are willing to get on a plane. It's not going to be fun if you go. I was at Montreal Airport last weekend. My wife's shopping at Provigo. Only one of us were let in. So I drove over to the airport, and it was a ghost town. There was very, very few flyers. I've never seen it like that at Montreal International Airport before. What it is that you have to be comfortable wearing masks, standing in line, distancing yourself, the things you need to do. Now, over time, hopefully with a vaccine, other things, we won't be able to do that. But at this time, The full planes of the past are the demand's not there, and Canadians are not willing to be on planes in crowded conditions.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully in a year or two, we'll be on that, but at this point, it's going to be quite a while before we're comfortable to fly.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't think Canadians, to be honest, were ever truly comfortable packed in like sardines on some of those flights, Air Canada and others as well. But will it be more or less expensive for travelers, do you think?
Well, it's something where when you have less demand and at the same supply, the price is going to go up. Because for them to fly, it costs quite a bit of money. And the net result is the price is going to go up. On the other hand, they want to lower prices to encourage people to fly. So there's kind of a tension there back and forth between the two. But given the low demand, if you've had a flight out there, they've had some ghost flights where there was no one on or just a few people, it simply does not make economic sense. So I wouldn't be surprised if prices went up, though there'd be occasionally times when they want to just get some people on the plane and fill it up, that prices might go down. But I think overall the trend's going to be up.
All right. Carl Moore is an airline industry analyst and associate professor at McGill University. Carl, thanks for joining us from Montreal.
My pleasure, Carol.